Welcome, Harvest Church, and just wanted to give you an update of Western North Carolina. September 26th, 2024, Hurricane Helene, ripped through the Western North Carolina mountains and forever changed it. Carved out new areas, but it's been the change for the good and the bad. The good, the camaraderie that's came across within our state, within the mountains, people helping people, areas that wouldn't talk to each other, all of a sudden was talking. But then the bad that came along, people having to rebuild that lost everything. Some people didn't have very much to lose and lost everything they had. There has been some government help, but not as much as that we would expect. FEMA's pulled out at this point. And there's still a lot of people that's kind of left up there, to fend for themselves. For me, John Mullis, this started on September 30th with a phone call that I was able to get into to Hoyt Johnson in Little Switzerland, that owns Big Lynn Lodge. I heard a man that was normally joyful, happy, very excited to hear from me whenever I'm able to talk to him, a great friend of mine, to a man that was broke and sad and distraught and didn't know where help was coming from. When I talked to him, he had moms that was coming down out of the mountains that needed food for their babies that hadn't eaten in a few days. People was dying around them that needed medicine, insulin. And when I talked to him at 7:30 that morning, I said, I'll be there. At 3 o'clock, we got there. After $7,000 worth of material supplies that we went to Sam's Club and bought. I called Pastor Tom, the head lead pastor at Harvest Church, and I let him know what was going on. I didn't really ask for permission because what was in my heart was in my heart. But what he said immediately is he wanted to be a part of what we was going to be a part of. He wanted to go right along with us. And ever since then, from that moment, from police telling me no, I wasn't going to make it up there, roads that was washed out, soft mountains that we was going up, but God had a plan, and a righteous man's steps were ordered. And roads was open that wasn't supposed to be open, and contacts were made that was not supposed to be made. Hoyt Johnson that day was taken care of by the loving hands and the loving feet of Jesus, not us. We just had the means to be able to help that day, but we answered the call. I punched my ticket. I did what I said I was going to do. I come down out of the mountain, and a friend of mine, great friend of mine, Chris Hallman, on October 1st, put a Facebook request that he owns a trucking company, and he was going to be out of work that week because of his truck was being worked on. So he said that he just needed a trailer. Just so happened my business has a trailer. We didn't need it. We wasn't going to use it. And even if we did, those folks needed it more than we did. So we hooked up to the trailer, and overnight, working on trying to get a load together, a brewery in Charlotte, Hop Fly Brewery, had a load that needed to go to Burnsville. So we loaded it up that next morning and headed out to Burnsville. That's kind of snowballed into 26, 27 weeks now of somebody that we are affiliated within ourself, within our church, or within our community has been in and around and active in the mountains of Western North Carolina, Tennessee, and Virginia. West Virginia. That turned into needing an extra trailer because there was so many supplies coming in. I put a request out. Mark Flowers answered it, a good friend of mine. He called me. I went and picked up the trailer with a man that was in tears that said that, he didn't have a lot, but he had a trailer, and he was willing to take his race car out because racing season was open and over, and we was welcome to use it as long as we needed it. I knew that he needed his trailer. That's what he worked out of. But he gave us that trailer for 2 months while we sat out here and we collected donations to be able to get them in and out while my other trailer was on the road. How many trips? Really don't know. There's been so many now that we've counted over 90, but we keep going back and forth. The need's there. From that trip, we ended up meeting some folks, and Chris went to West Yancey. And then some other folks that we met, Pastor Zach, East Belmont Baptist Church, emptied out their food pantry and was bringing all the food out of the food pantry. We was able to make contact with some folks in Bandana. Nate Thomas there was a local that had some insights of what was needed. We was able to get a 14,000 watt Generac generator that was donated to the volunteer fire department, no money. That actually another good friend of ours, Matthew Malden, was able to jump in a truck, and he graciously took it up the mountains. You know, these guys we would have never met if it wasn't for the mountains. We would have never met if it wasn't for the tragedy. You know, some of them are going to be lifelong friends because of it. The good and the bad is there. We just got to look at it. There's more good than there is bad. After getting that taken care of, I had a cousin, Emily Ross, that was setting up a donation site in Waynesville. Since then, she's moved into a bigger site. It is Unit 49, and we have been working with her and paying for the storage building lease pretty much every month for the last probably 5 or 6 months. She's helping a ton of people in and around that area, and it's constantly, the need is still growing. We went from Bandana to Cane Creek. Cane Creek, we was able to help some folks. Tim and Vicky, Miss Tim and Pastor Vicky, our Pastor Tim and Miss Vicky are the lead pastors there at the church, and we was able to help them. It was awesome because we was actually able to go up there, not only take supplies, but we was able to go up. We was able to take food. Our friars, Pastor Tom and Rodney Alexander, Kevin McClure, Jonathan Safrit, Chad Beatty, Kenneth Reeves. I mean, the list goes on of the people that's been involved, that's been working on this. You know, the many churches that's in and around this area that's came together, that's been working hard on getting the needs met in the mountains. From Cane Creek, there was one story that I think that I need to tell. It kind of gets me when I start thinking about it. But Rodney Alexander went up with a crew of folks, and they were helping, and they were help cleaning up. Pastor Tim had them set in places that needed the help the most. And when they were cleaning up, they looked in the woods, and they seen this trampoline that was completely destroyed and dismayed and mangled that was in the woods. As they were cleaning up, they seen a little girl, and they asked her, is that your trampoline? She said yes, and she said, you know, she was brokenhearted. That was one of the only, you know, major toys they had. And we made a decision. He made a decision right then. When he came back next week, he was bringing a trampoline. We was having Monday morning or Tuesday morning meetings at a restaurant, and he brought that up. Pastor Tom immediately looked at him and said, where do we need to get trampoline at? We went to Sam's Club that day. We was able to get a trampoline. We got it to that little girl. And you would be amazed of how happy and really just how much joy and how much hope that it was gave to them at that time. In a moment that they had lost, they were losing everything. A simple trampoline, something that could take their mind off the situation that was at hand. You know, sometimes people don't need a help out. They need a help up. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to continue giving them a help up. When Jesus found us, he left us in a better position than he found us. And we're going to continue working towards leaving those folks in a better position. We went from there to finally introducing and meeting a good friend of mine, Brian Green. Brian Green has worked tirelessly in this community, you know, getting supplies back and forth to every part of Western North Carolina, Tennessee, and beyond. Fantastic human being. We was able to link up, and from the beginning, my truck and trailer has been here for a outlet to be able to carry all the supplies and have a place that the supplies are stored until there's a need that we have. Brian Green has worked in different areas, but one of the biggest areas that he's been able to get into is Empoga, Tennessee. It's Carter County, Tennessee, one of the poorest counties in Tennessee. Met a wonderful lady, Blue Morrow, that's really just taking control. There's areas that's up there that there's a single person that's taking control of the area, and they're being the donation site, and they're working their hind ends off, making sure that everybody is getting what they need, and the stuff that's coming through is getting to the right people. You know, these people are not prideful. They're proud. There's a big difference. Proud is simply because they've been able to be self-sustained for a long time. They're servants. We go to the mountains to be served. We go to the mountains to visit. They're not used to being served. So we pray that we continue to have areas that we can serve. Poga, Tennessee's special. We're hoping to get up there here for too long and be able to take the fryers and be able to feed everybody up there. We supplied them all winter with fuel, kerosene, propane tanks. I can't tell you the thousands of propane 1-pound cylinder propane tanks and hundreds of 20-pound tanks that went to the mountains just in Poga City or Poga, Tennessee, just to keep those folks warm. You know, the cool part about being a part of this, we was able to take turkeys to Cane Creek at Thanksgiving. We was able to take stockings for the kids at Cane Creek at Thanksgiving or at Christmas. You know, at that moment, I can't imagine. I've been in this position before. The point of you didn't have anything to be able to provide for Christmas. Now we know that Christmas, Jesus is the reason for that season, but at the same time, as a child, you know, you don't want to feel left out. There was a moment that the parents didn't have money for toys. Rodney Alexander was able to work with Catawba Heights Baptist Church, and they donated the toys for that. Kenneth Reeves was able to work with us, and we was able to get the toys from the rod run, from the toy drive that they put on with the motorcycle ministry they have there. We was able to get a ton of toys up there and get them to folks and kids that wasn't going to be able to have toys, wasn't going to be able to have that Christmas that you would hope to have. At the same time, we was able to go and take 12 stockings. Those 12 stockings not only was filled with toys for the kids, there was $500 in each one of those stockings for the parents. You know, to not be able to provide in a way that you used to is tough for a parent that wants to provide in a way that they never had. You know, it was a point of people was not only having hard times physically, but it was coming mentally. It was a hard mental battle to overcome. And simply, just a good gesture has changed people's lives. In Western North Carolina, Harvest Church, Mount Holly, and Stanley rings from one side to the other. They know we've been there. But what they know more than that is Jesus led our steps, allowed us to create those contacts. This is not us. We could not have done it on our own. It is because all of y'all, everybody that gave, everybody that trusted, everybody that put their faith in us to be able to get those into areas and the supplies in the areas that it needs. Just want to give a quick list of the areas that we have been in. You know, from the beginning, I'm going to try to get as many areas as I can. I know that I've missed a few, but it's going to be including Bakersfield, Burnsville, Bandana, Little Switzerland, Waynesville, Swannanoa, Reems Creek, Cane Creek, Spruce Pine, Marion, Canton, Clyde, Pensacola, Roan Mountain, Carter County, Tennessee, which is Poga, Johnson City, Tennessee, Welch, West Virginia, and War, West Virginia. I know that I'm forgetting some. I apologize for not getting all of them in there, but I just want to show you how active we are. Everything that's came in has went out. We have not hoarded anything up. We have not used anything in the wrong way. We have made sure that everything that's came in has got gone to the people that it needs to. So what we would like to do is continue asking also for prayers, but also for the supplies and donations that's needed. It's came full circle. FEMA's pulled out. There's a lot of the help where the food places has pulled out. And at this point, they are back to a self-sustained mentality, but they need some help. They need the daily supplies, the daily essentials. We're back to food, non-perishable items, baby goods, baby food, baby snacks, diapers, wipes, feminine care products. It's came all back around to where it was at the beginning. If there's any corporate business sponsors out there that would like to help, they are starting to need rebuilding supplies. You know, it's a tough situation whether to have to buy an OSB piece of wood to fix a roof or to be able to feed your family. They got to do both, and we're hoping to be able to help them with that. We would like to thank you for everybody that has helped. We would like to ask you for your support Continue keeping us in your prayers. Continue keeping Western North Carolina in your prayers. The areas that's hurt are still hurt, and we continue needing your help. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your trust. I'd like to end this little update with a verse, and I think this pretty much sums it up. It's Matthew 25, and it's verse 35. For when I was hungry, you gave me food. When I was thirsty, you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you took me in. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to me. That's what the ministry is about, and that's what we will continue doing. Thank you for your time.